So this is going to be a different type of video. As you can see, I'm not in my home theater. I'm actually in my desk editing setup. So this video is sponsored by a company called Sedeta. I think I'm saying that right. But yeah, this is a sponsored video. This desk that you see here, they did send me this desk for free in exchange for a review. So I'm going to talk about it. Yeah, so this is a little bit different video. I wanted to do like a, I guess it's not really a behind the scenes, but you're probably wondering, well, what does desks and office setup have to do with home theater? But technically, it doesn't have anything to do with home theater, but it has a lot to do with how I edit my videos, because I'm a one-man band. So when I make a video, I script the video myself. I set up all the lighting, the cameras, have a multicam set up like you see here now. And then I shoot, I film, I take the media off of the SD cards, I download them onto my computer, then I start editing, cut it, do all my B-roll. It's a lot of work. And depending on the length of the video or how big the video is, sometimes it could take days, it could take a week. I'm typically not working on a video for more than a week, unless it's like a home theater tour or something, and it might take me a couple weeks. But this is very important, because when I'm sitting at a computer for hours at a time, sometimes 3 or 4 hours, I want to be comfortable. And I didn't take any video of the desk setup that I had before. It was really bad. I considered doing that, but it had gotten so bad that I was like, I'm actually embarrassed to show this on screen. So when they reached out to me, Sedeta reached out to me and asked me if I would be interested in reviewing one of their desks, I was like, I don't want to do that. I've got to make a video for it. But then I started looking at my setup and I decided, you know what? I think it's actually time for an upgrade. It's actually time for me to just start over clean. And one of the big things I didn't want to do is I didn't want to have to dismantle my entire setup, because I had to take down the previous desk, had to clear everything out of here and basically start over. But I decided, you know what? It is time for an upgrade. And I had been looking for something. I really wanted to get a sit-stand desk. We have those at my main job at work in the office. But this was actually a good opportunity with what I wanted and what I needed. So this is the Sedeta. This is an L-shaped gaming desk. So it's actually designed for gamers, but it fits perfectly because I have all the room. Actually, I have more room than I need than I did in my previous setup. So what's unique about this is, again, it's an L desk, or it's an L-shaped gaming setup, gaming desk, but I have so much room. I have so much space to where it's not cramped. I have everything I need on my desk, and then I have all this room, which if you saw my setup before, it was just, I had gotten lazy. It was cluttered with stuff. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to start over fresh. I'm going to do some proper wiring. You know, there's still some things that wire that I can't control, but you know, I bought these little wire management things. So you put your wires in here, and you know, they stick onto the desk, and you can put your wires in there. I got a bunch of those, and I got some other ones. Helped out a lot. But yeah, this is their gaming desk. So it takes about, man, it took me probably, I want to say 4 or 5 hours to put together. It would have gone quicker, but some of the instructions are a little bit janky. For the most part, I would say 75 to 80% of the instructions are spot on. And then for some reason, when you get to a certain point, it really doesn't tell you what to do. Once you look at it, like you look at the pieces, it's self-explanatory, but it may take you 10 or 15 minutes to figure out that, oh, this part where I'm at is not actually in the instructions. I need to figure out how to do it on my own. So that was a little bit annoying, but I don't remember how many pieces it came with it, but it came in a lot of pieces, and you have to put it together. So if you're doing this with like more than one person, it'll probably cut the time in half. And also, I was stopping in between to eat, to do other stuff. You know, I was working on multiple things. But I would say if you just sit down by yourself and do it, you could probably put the desk together in about 3 hours. So they have different colors. I asked for the black one, and I really like this. This is much nicer than the previous desk that I had before. As you can see, it's L-shaped, so I've got a lot of room. So I'm just gonna kind of go through, what I have up here. So I've got some speakers, just some cheap Logitech speakers that I have. I've got actually 3 monitors. One of the monitors you can't see, it's off screen. I'll try to do some B-roll. But I have 2 monitors here that I use, and I actually use this setup for my main job. So I work from home 2 days a week, or 3 days a week. Yeah, 3 days a week. So this actually doubles. I actually spend more time in here with my main job, so 8 hours a day. So that's 24 hours, my main job. And then when I'm making videos, I come in here and I sit down and I get started on an edit. And sometimes I'm working on 2 or 3, 4 videos at a time, but I wanted something that was going to make me feel comfortable. Unfortunately, it's not a sit-stand desk, but I'm happy with it, and it has everything that I need. So you can see here, I've got all this space here. Everything looks clean. It's very tidy. There's some little things that I could improve. I don't really have the means to do it. Some of the wires I can't really control. But over here on the left, I've got my Plex computer that I use. I don't really use Plex anymore, but I still use the computer every day. So this is, I guess you could say it's my HTPC, my home theater PC. So this stores all of my movies that I have ripped. So somewhere around 500 movies, TV shows, stuff like that. I have my main computer, and then I have some hard drives hooked up to it that are also connected to the network, so I can share it all over the network with my Zidoo and Arvolution. Back behind here, I have a Ugreen NOS, so I'm using that. Basically, I'm using that to store all of my YouTube videos. Once I finish editing them, I save them, and then after maybe a few months, 6 months, it depends. If I feel like, hey, I'm probably not going to use this again, then I may delete it to clear up some space. But I have that over there. I also have a Home Assistant green back in the corner. So the Home Assistant green, if you guys don't know what Home Assistant is, you can look it up. Super powerful. It's open sourced, but I use that to control a lot of my home control, and I do some really cool stuff with Kaleidescape, my Zidoo, Apple TV. So I can basically go in there. They've got some presets that you can do. It's basically plug and play. You can install Home Assistant on your computer, but I tried that before and it was kind of janky. I didn't really like it. And then I found out that they actually have like basically a box that you buy that comes pre-built, and then you just install the stuff that you want on there. So I can control my Kaleidescape, when I'm watching a movie, whether it's Kaleidescape, watching stuff on Apple TV, YouTube, Disney Plus streaming, Apple TV Plus, or Zidoo. When I hit play, I have the lights go down. When I hit pause, have the lights come up, and then I have some other automations that I can do. Super powerful. So I have that over there. I've got some more hard drives here that are connected to my Ugreen NOS for extra storage. I've got a little, what is this? Lammy call. So this basically just puts my cell phone here while I'm working. I can check my messages, if something comes in, emails, whatever. I have that there. And then I have my Netgear switch. I believe that's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's an 8-port Ethernet switch. I've got a Mac Studio. This is just the base version. Love this thing. Pretty much handles everything that I need. I've got a Raspberry Pi here that I have installed with HomeKit. I don't really use HomeKit anymore since I've got the Home Assistant, but there are a couple things that are still on there that run in the background. Next to that, I've got a Ugreen USB-C hub. So I have that connected to my Mac Studio, and then it gives me some extra USB-C ports. I've got an LG monitor. I believe that's a 32-inch wide. you know, like a widescreen monitor. I really only use that for editing. So that's hooked up to my Ugreen, or that's hooked up to my Mac Studio. And then I have my podcasting microphone here. So, you know, it looks a little bit different. I don't think I've done a live stream. I may have done one live stream with this setup here, but this is my microphone that I use when I do live streams. When you guys watch, have that here. This is a Fi-Fine microphone, XLR microphone. And then I have that hooked up to a Rode Streamer X. I think that's pretty much it. But let me tell you more about the desk. So the desk is pretty self-explanatory. You put it together, and it has different configurations. So I chose the L-shaped configuration, but there's two configurations that you can do with the L shape. You can do where it's long this way, or you can do where it's long this way. And just because of my room and how I had it before, this works perfect. My Ethernet comes out over here. I have my Wi-Fi router in the back, and then my computer's over here. So I wanted to make sure everything stayed pretty much the same. But you can do 2 or 3 different configurations with this. You have 2 configurations with the L shape, depending on which side you want the longer side on. And then there's another configuration, it's in the manual when you get it, that you can do it that's not an L shaped. But because of my room size, this works perfect. And then, which I didn't have before, I have this keyboard, I guess, shelf that comes out. So I have my keyboard here, I have my mouse here, Logitech. And what's cool about the Logitech keyboard is that it's got 3 different buttons on here. So 1, 2, 3, and I can sync the keyboard to Bluetooth to any of my computers. So I have 3 different computers. I have a laptop, a MacBook that's not shown here, but I just basically hit the button and then I can switch over to that computer. Same thing with the MX Master 3S. Love this mouse. So I did not have this tray here on my previous setup. So for carpal tunnel, it wasn't very good because depending on my chair height, I had to, you know, basically do this. Look like I was playing a piano. So now that I have this keyboard tray, I have it pretty much level with my armrests. And then when I sit here, you know, I don't have to worry about getting carpal tunnel. This also has some lighting, comes with lighting that you can put underneath the desk, which is really cool. Gives it like a little bit of accent lighting. And let me actually turn on some more lighting here. Got some blue light, and then I'm gonna turn on my Govee lights. So hopefully you can see the ambiance in here. Got some blue lights on ahead above me, and then I've got this orange light from my Govee light. But what's cool is that this does come with some accent lighting. So it has some accent lighting that you can put underneath here. And then when you turn everything off, you know, you've got this, I'll put some B-roll. You've got this nice cool ambient lighting. So when you come in the room, maybe if it's early in the morning, sometimes I get started, I usually get started around 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. And, you know, it's pretty much still dark outside here in Houston. But when I walk in the room, it's not completely dark. You know, I have this accent lighting and I can see all my stuff here. I can see my desk. So it's pretty cool. I don't remember the dimensions. I'll look it up and I'll put the dimensions on the screen. But as you can see, it's pretty big. And it has, one thing I like about this is it holds everything that I need. Whereas before, I had stuff all over the floor. I had some of my hard drives on the floor. My computer was on the floor. My NOS was on the floor. The home assistant green was on the floor. And stuff was everywhere. Cables were everywhere. It was a rat's nest. It was very bad. So another reason why it took me so long to put this together is because I wanted to make sure I did some proper cable management this time. So I had to unhook everything. I had to unhook all my computer cables, my hard drive cables, everything that was wired that was plugged into something. I unplugged it, and then I did some proper wire management as best as I could. And as you can see, you really don't see much of any wires on the desk other than, you know, the wires from the monitor screens. But yeah, you know, and then I've got my chair here. But I'm really liking this desk from Sedeta. I'm really glad that I decided to review it and, you know, to get into my desk setup, because it's a massive upgrade. I've got so much space, you know, and I like having this kind of, I didn't have this side piece over here on my previous setup. So I was able to get my computer off the floor, you know, helps with dust a little bit. And it really just made the room look cleaner. And yeah, there's not really else a whole lot to say about it. I'll leave a link in the description if you guys want to check this out. If you want to pick this up, if you're a gamer, this is probably going to be really good for you. And it's very sturdy. Obviously, you know, it's not like wood. I don't know. I'm assuming this is like a vinyl wrapping around it, but very sturdy. It's heavy duty, but you know, I can still move it around if I need to. But yeah, Sedeta, I think that's what it's how you pronounce it. L-shaped gaming desk. Links in the description. Hope you guys, you know, like this video. Again, it's a little bit different than my normal videos, but you know, they did send this to me for free, and you know, in exchange I was going to review it and just talk about it. And I really like it. I really enjoy having a clean setup, having space to do everything that I need to do. Whereas before I had junk all over the desk. It had gotten so bad, and I was like, you know what, this is a perfect opportunity to just start over, start fresh, clean it up, and now it's maintainable. So now I'm a little bit more conscious of just throwing stuff everywhere, because when you get lazy, you typically just throw stuff under the desk and then it piles up. But now that it's clean, I think I'm going to be much more of a clean freak with this setup and wanting to keep it this way. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Links in the description, and I'll catch you in the next video.